If you're a man who grew up in the 1970s, there's a reason you move through life the way you do. A reason you don't say much when things get heavy. Why you handle problems quietly. Why you keep going, even when no one notices. Because you weren't just raised. You were shaped by a completely different world. A world where things were simpler on the surface, but tougher underneath. And that left a mark. You grew up in a time where figuring things out wasn't optional. There were no tutorials waiting for you, no step-by-step guides, no one explaining every move. If something broke, you fixed it. If something went wrong, you dealt with it. Over time, that built resourcefulness, independence, and capability. But it also built a belief that you're supposed to handle things alone. Even now, that belief is still there. Back then, emotions weren't something you talked about. They were something you controlled. You didn't grow up hearing people say, "Open up," or "Express yourself." You heard things like, "Man up," "Shake it off," "Keep going." So you learned to stay composed, to push things down, to deal with things internally. And that became your default. Even today, when something's bothering you, your first instinct isn't to talk about it. It's to handle it. Childhood in the 70s gave you something else too. Freedom. Real freedom. You were outside for hours. No one tracking you. No constant supervision. You took risks. You got hurt. You learned through experience. That built toughness. Not loud toughness. Quiet resilience. You learned how to recover, how to adapt, how to keep moving forward. But it also meant you had to grow up faster than people realize. From a young age, there was a quiet expectation placed on you. You were going to become someone who provides, someone dependable, someone responsible. You saw it in the men around you. So over time, you connected your value to what you could do. Your work, your effort, your ability to handle responsibility. That mindset stayed with you. Even now, you feel it. Pressure became something you carried without showing. You didn't say this is too much. You just adjusted. You focused. You handled it. You moved forward. That became your pattern. Relationships were built differently too. Friendship wasn't constant communication. It wasn't checking in every day. It was presence. It was loyalty. It was knowing someone had your back without needing to say it. And because of that, you still value connection in a deeper way. You don't need constant contact, but you do expect realness, consistency, respect. Then everything changed. Technology, communication, the pace of life. You went from a world that moved slower to one that never stops. And you adapted. You learned new systems, new tools, new ways of thinking. But something inside you never fully changed. You still remember what life felt like before all of this. And that memory affects you more than you realize. Because now you compare. You compare how things used to feel to how they feel now. And sometimes, something feels missing. Not because things are worse, but because they're different. And you remember the difference. That creates a kind of quiet tension. Part of you moves with the present, but another part of you still connects more with the past. All that independence you built comes with something else. Because when you're used to handling everything yourself, you don't always reach out. You don't always say when something feels heavy. You just carry it. And over time, that becomes normal. So even when you're surrounded by people, you can still feel like you're dealing with things alone. Not because you have to, but because that's what you've always done. And the thing is, you don't usually think of this as psychology. To you, this is just life. But when you step back, capable, but sometimes, that ability to handle everything turns into carrying too much. You take on responsibility. You support others. You keep things together, but you don't always say when it's heavy. You just keep going. There's also a deeper awareness of time. You've seen how quickly things change, so you value moments more. You notice things more. You understand what matters. And then there's nostalgia. For you, it's not just remembering, it's grounding. It reconnects you to a time that felt slower, more real, more present. Certain songs, certain places, certain memories, they don't just remind you, they bring you back. You didn't just grow up in the 70s. You evolved through it. You learned to balance expectations and independence, strength and awareness, past and present. And that's what shaped who you are today. And even now, that influence is still there. It shows up in how you think, how you respond, how you carry yourself through life. You don't always talk about it, but it's there.